Hi, I'm Pastor Scott. This is Extraordinary Connection, and I'm glad you're here. Konstantin Fahlberg looked at the clock and realized that he was running late for dinner. He loved the work that he did at Johns Hopkins as a chemist, but he loved his wife more. So he quickly cleaned up his lab table, blew out the gas lamps, and raced home to find his wife tapping her foot at the front door. He kissed her on the cheek, apologized, and asked what's for dinner. Dinner that night was going to be pot roast, mashed potatoes, and green beans, one of Konstantin's favorite dinners. So he sat down right away and loaded up his plate. But as Konstantin was eating, he noticed that every single bite he took tasted super sweet. It tasted like his wife had added sugar to each course of the dinner. And he asked her, and she said, "Of course, I did not add sugar. Who would add sugar to pot roast?" It was then that Konstantin realized he never washed his hands after work, and he never washed his hands before he sat down to dinner, which is pretty gross. In the lab that day, he had been working with a chemical called benzoic sulfamide. So the next day, when he got back to work at Johns Hopkins, he tested the sulfamide a little bit more, and then shortly after, he introduced the world to the first artificial sweetener, saccharin. So is that coincidence, or was it God orchestrated? A couple weeks ago, we had an outdoor worship service at our church. It was a service where we read psalms and sung songs, and we did it all outside in this beautiful field with a pond behind us and a tree line to the side, and it was just a gorgeous, idyllic pastoral setting. And as we finished singing our very last song that day, a baby deer, a fawn, came through the tree line, and it timidly walked to the pond. It bent its head down and took a cool drink, even though we're all just sitting there not very far away from it. It was as if God was adding an exclamation point to our service. Because you see, Psalm 42:1 says, "As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God." Everyone that was in attendance was awestruck. The timing for this deer to walk out just as we had finished and to bend down and take a drink was just perfect. And I quipped something about we couldn't have scripted that if we wanted. And one of my parishioners named Amy said, "You know what? That deer was God scripted." So what do you think? Was that random chance, or was it God scripted? In Acts 16, Paul and Silas are arrested once again. And on this particular night, as they're sitting in their jail, an earthquake happened, which opened the cell door. The jailer rushed in to stop Paul and Silas from escaping, and Paul said, "Don't worry about it. We're here." Seeing their faith and trust in God, seeing them still sitting in their jail cell, the jailer asked Paul, "What must I do to have a faith in God like yours?" And Paul, in the middle of the jail, was able to witness to the unnamed guard about his faith and bring the good news of Jesus to another person. Was it luck that Paul and Silas didn't make a break for it? Was it luck that the jailer didn't run home himself? Or was every piece of that, the earthquake, Paul and Silas being in jail, being arrested, that jailer being there on that particular shift that night, that Paul and Silas and the jailer, none of them making a break for it, was all of that the work of the Holy Spirit? There are things that happen in our life we can't explain. Chance encounters that remind us of people we love. There are opportunities for hope and charity put in our path to help other people in need. And there are natural wonders and just small miracles that happen at just the right time that warm our heart and give us joy. And each time these events happen in your life, you have a choice. You can look at them and brush them off as complete coincidence. Or you can look at them and marvel that God is working in and through the world around us. That God is putting people in our path that bring us hope and healing, and opportunities for us to bring love to a hurting world as well. I don't know about you, but in those moments, I choose God. So I'll see you next time at extraordinaryconnection.org.